Thank you for joining us today. Stop Plastics presentation is 12 minutes long. It will repeat 7 times until 2:45 p.m. Please post your questions and ideas in the chat. First, let's watch a short film called The Story of Plastic to remind ourselves of the life cycle of plastic and the detrimental effects it has on our planet.
You've probably heard about a giant trash island in the ocean. Or that poor sea turtle and the straw. Maybe you've even heard how plastic is being found inside the fish we eat. The plastic crisis gets a lot of attention, but the headlines usually focus on the plastic that ends up in the environment. And that's just part of the story. The truth is, plastic has a whole life cycle that's hidden from view, one that harms people and the planet from start to finish. Let's start at the beginning. Plastic is made from fossil fuels like oil or fracked natural gas. Extracting those fossil fuels and turning them into plastics creates a lot of pollution. Pollution that most often affects marginalized communities nearby. As we've gotten better about using less oil and gas to power our lives, the fossil fuel industry found a lifeline in plastics. In fact, oil and gas companies are doubling down on plastic production, with plans to build or expand over 300 petrochemical plants in the US alone by 2025. But these companies already produce more plastic than we can use. So where's all that plastic going? A lot of it's flowing into new markets, in places like Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Because more than any other product category, plastic isn't driven by the demand for it, but by the supply. Corporations like Unilever, Nestle, and Procter & Gamble are aggressively marketing single-use plastic products around the world. These companies go to places like Indonesia, where I live, and push their products onto communities that just aren't prepared to deal with all that plastic. Maybe they're used to using natural packaging. Maybe they live on a tiny island without a system of waste collection. And on top of that, countries in the global north are shipping their own plastic waste into these countries too. When you add that all up, it's no wonder so much of this plastic ends up in the environment. And globally, that's where a whopping 32% of plastic packaging ends up. 40% goes to a landfill, where plastic just piles up for future generations to deal with. And 14% is incinerated. Incineration is a nasty business, producing toxic smoke and fly ash. These super expensive facilities depend on plastic to burn everything else. It is oil and gas after all. So they want to see more plastic, not less. Then there's recycling. Unfortunately, it's not the solution that many people think it is. Just 14% of plastic packaging gets recycled, and only 2% is effectively recycled, meaning it becomes something as useful as before. The rest is downcycled into something worse. And most recycled plastic is only recycled once, before ending up in landfills, incinerators, or the environment anyway. So it turns out that we can't burn, bury, or recycle our way out of this problem. And we can't just scoop all that plastic out of the environment either. That's like trying to bail out a bathtub with a teaspoon while the tap is on full blast. So how about we turn off the tap by shutting down the plastic machine? That means passing policies that create systemic change, like phasing out the single-use plastics that pollute the most, ending the fossil fuel subsidies that are fueling big plastic, and holding companies responsible for the plastic waste they create. That's how we can achieve our vision of a zero-waste future, where all of our products and packaging can be reused or repaired, effectively recycled or composted, and ultimately how we create a sustainable, circular economy that works for both people and the planet. Visit storyofplastic.org to learn more and take action.
Please take a moment to reflect. What is your reaction to this video? What would you like to do about this situation? Post questions and ideas in the chat.
Stop Plastics began when a handful of people joined together to push for an environment free of plastic pollution. We did this for the benefit of humans and all living things. Stop Plastics. Volunteers were, and still are, moved to act by the images of our very own Toronto beaches smothered in bits of plastic. And when we see horrifying photos and video of animals tangled, maimed, and killed by plastic in the environment, we are moved to demand change by the ever-increasing use of plastic and the role it plays in worsening the climate crisis. We believe that the only effective way to deal with plastic waste is to stop the production of plastics and stop the manufacturing of plastics. When we started, no one wanted to talk about plastic pollution. The Stop Plastic volunteers forged ahead. We decided to make our immediate goal to get a plastic bag ban in Toronto. We launched a postcard campaign, and thanks to engaged Torontonians, we were able to deliver thousands of Ban the Bag postcards to Toronto councillors. We traveled far and wide around the city to spread the Stop Plastic message. We created art. We rented tables at eco events. We scheduled beach and park cleanups. We met with one-on-one with Toronto councillors. We welcomed opportunities to debate before the Waste and Infrastructure Committee, as well as before the Budget Committee. We organized phone and letter writing events. We did presentations and launched petitions. And finally, the tides turned. Tons of other enviro groups joined the cause to stop plastics. Recycling was revealed to be the shame that it is, and plastic pollution stories were suddenly all over the media. City Council set up a committee to put forward recommendations about single-use plastic items. In addition, they went to the federal government to ask for countrywide solutions. And here we are. We look forward to the time when the federal government implements the promised plastic bag ban, along with bans on plastic utensils, stir sticks, straws, six-pack rings, and some types of takeout containers. They did say 2021 was the cutoff. But this simply isn't good enough. So here we are again. Supermarkets and dollar stores are still chock full of plastic products and plastic packaging. Lake Ontario still regularly vomits up tons of broken plastic bits, and whales' stomachs are still full of plastic. We learned a lot along our journey to get to where we are today. That change takes time. And don't be afraid to reach for the top. When we began, recycling was the only solution. And it seems futile to ask for bans, but it is now widely understood that reusables and no packaging at all are really the only sound ways for us to go forward. And mostly important, the numbers matter. So no matter how small you think your voice is, speak up. It can only help.